How's everyone doing? And welcome back to another podcast. Thank you all for listening on Spotify, or if you're watching us on YouTube. We are 9 and 4 and more. We talk Jaguars football and other news around the National Football League. And Thursday night football just got done about a day and a half ago. The Jaguars lose to the Cincinnati Bengals in Jaguars fashion, 24-21, after blowing a 14-0 lead at halftime. Man, Brandon, I was there and I am still a little upset about the loss.
Yeah, I would be pissed if I went there and saw the collapse that happened kind of thing. I'm sure you guys were just going crazy at that first half, basically cursing out every Bengals fan. Told you I told you so. But yeah, man, at home it was pretty gut wrenching too of watching the collapse. It wasn't fun anywhere you were probably.
Yeah, I will say this before we talk about the game. Cincinnati was actually a really beautiful place. Me and my buddy, we had a great time. The city was awesome. All the fans, actually, Bengals fans, they were really cool. No one really trash talked us. Actually, a lot of them were complimenting on my Fred Taylor jersey. They were like, "Oh, that right there, one of the best running backs of all time, underrated running backs." And they've been bad for so long. I think when you get two bad teams, together, you kind of just
There's
enjoy
not much
it.
trash talking.
No, it's really fun.
We both can't say anything. If you go to the Patriots, they can trash talk. All the Bucks this year, they can probably trash talk. But yeah, Bengals and Jags don't have the rep to do that.
Absolutely. And the fans that we were sitting around, some of the Bengals fans, they're really cool. We were definitely joking around with each other. But let's go ahead and get right into the game. Like I said earlier, Jaguars 14-0 going into halftime, trying to make it 21-0, but unfortunately that Trevor Lawrence keep up the middle, get stopped. Let's kind of reverse back and let's talk about the first half in general. What were your takeaways and what do you think?
I think we played great the first half. We've ran the ball really well with James Robinson. Trevor was throwing it pretty good. It wasn't the best. We ran the ball just more than anything. I think Trevor had his first completion late into the first quarter. He was 0 for 1 for a while because I think he threw the ball behind the line of scrimmage and they ain't counting as a pass kind of thing for Agnew. But yeah, we completely dominated on the front line with James Robinson running the ball. The RPOs for Trevor looked fantastic. And it's why weren't we doing this to begin with? He did it at Clemson. I don't know if it was just fear of getting him hurt so early in this season or something. And they said, screw it, throw it out the window. But they need to keep those RPOs. Those looked really, really good until that goal line stand pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. When Trevor Lawrence runs, not only does it help the play action, it actually helps James Robinson out.
Yeah.
Because the defensive line, the linebackers, they don't know if it's going to be Trevor Lawrence with the ball or James Robinson. This is now 2 weeks in a row where the Jaguars have used James Robinson and Trevor Lawrence getting more rushing attempts, more rushing yards. And this is something that should have happened week 1 versus the Texans. It might have been a different result then. Who knows? But unfortunately, the first or second play, we lost DJ Chark for the season, more likely with a fractured ankle, which does suck. Speaking of DJ Chark, it sucks because it was in a contract year.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be, negative, that down person, but there's a small chance, or I would say maybe a 50-50 chance, we just seen DJ Chark his last time in a Jaguars uniform.
I think it's greater than 50-50, honestly. You have the new regime and he had some good – he's had 2 good plays, really. Didn't really do anything in the Broncos game. Had the great touchdown in the Arizona, but that was honestly more of just a beautiful throw by Lawrence. It wasn't like Chark did some crazy route. He just ran the post route to the outside and Trevor just fit right to where it's supposed to be. So you kind of look at it and everything that's happened, the wide receivers, probably the biggest disappointment of the year so far. Marvin Jones, I wouldn't really call it disappointment. And Chenault, this game finally
popped off about time.
Yeah. But it took DJ Chark to go out kind of thing. So I think I don't see us really extending Chark. I think this wide receiver class is absolutely loaded this year. And I think that's a position of need. So I don't know, man. I think we saw DJ Chark's last play here as a Jacksonville Jaguar, honestly, because I think he's going to want a lot of money. And I don't know if Urban and Balky are going to pay him the money that he wants.
I know Chark does like the Jaguars. He likes Jacksonville. So I'm wondering if he does do a 1-year prove-it deal, come back from injury. You know what? I can probably get more money if I have a decent year next year after coming off an injury. I'll just do a 1 year, $6 million, 1 year, $7 million. And then, go into free agent the following year, which I'd probably be okay with. I just not willing to pay him honestly over 10 million for a year.
And I don't know if other teams would be either, coming off the
Exactly. That's why I
injury with
think
his ankle, and he really his rookie year did nothing. He was primarily the gunner for the special teams, and in the second year he popped off, and the third year regressed again. So it is kind of like, I don't even know if other teams would be willing to give him multiple years at least. So maybe if he's like, I'll just take a $2 million pay cut, stay at home. He's got a child on the way. I don't know if his wife gave birth. I don't follow him that
yeah,
much.
she did.
I know. Yeah, I know he has a young child at the very minimum by the beginning of next year. That's a difficult transition move. Maybe he just says, screw it. I'll take like a $2 million pay cut to stay here for 1 year and do that prove it year. I would be fine with that. If we get DJ Chark here for like $7 million for 1 year, yeah, all completely fine with that. So hopefully that happens, but I don't see any long-term extension.
No, I agree 100%. Overall, though, the first half, Jaguars look good. Trevor Lawrence, but a 2-minute drive, or like, what was it? Like, went 2 minutes, like 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 20 seconds. When he rolled to the right, it looked like a busted play at first, and then ran almost to the sideline or out of bounds and threw like a 56-yard bomb to Chenault. Great catch. But I mean, that was just an unbelievable pass.
Yeah.
A pass that we haven't seen a Jaguars quarterback make in some time.
Every week he does something like that. In this game, he had 2 of those passes for sure. That other one to Agnew, just every angle you see. That was in the third quarter, though, when he threw it to Agnew just on a rope, and it was just, and he toe tapped. Like, that might be his greatest pass of the year so far. When you see that angle where it's like kind of like what Trevor Lawrence would see with the angle behind the quarterback, he's not open. Agnew is not open, has a guy behind him, has a guy in front of him, and somehow Lawrence just puts it in the exact spot at the exact timing. It was beautiful. And I think on that play to Chenault, he was running like 15 miles an hour. It was running like really fast to that sideline too. It wasn't like he was just slowly transitioning over. He was full speed going to that sideline, then just chucked it. And it was a thing of beauty. So,
oh my gosh, just like that toe tap. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Perfect position. I'm actually glad they did get Agnew involved in the offense. He's really fast. Now, I don't
kind of have to, and at this point,
yeah, I don't want them to use him a lot because I don't want him to get hurt for special teams. But if you can get him the ball 2 or 3 times out of the game, the right situations where maybe he gives you 10, 15 yards, that's fine. Perfect. That's a first down. With DJ Chark being out, Tyron Johnson definitely has to get involved more. And it seems like Urban Meyer, in his media press conference yesterday, said that Tyron Johnson is go time now for him. Like, he has to step up. He is a wide receiver 3. Obviously, Marvin Jones is 1, Visca's 2. Tyron Johnson is going to be 3 now. And 4, I don't know who's going to be 4. Is it going to be Agnew, or are they going to be going with
Tavon Austin?
Tavon Austin,
decent.
Maybe Treadwell is going to come off the practice squad because you still have him. Obviously, with DJ Chark gone, they are going to promote someone from the practice squad, wide receiver, I assume. But I think losing DJ Chark, I don't want to say blessing in disguise. I do not want to, use those words, but I think without DJ Chark, you're going to see a lot more different reads from Trevor Lawrence. He's going to be running it more. They're going to use Tavon Austin more. They're going to use Jamal Agnew. They'll use Chenault, I think, the way they want to use them. So we'll see what happens. But overall, great first half for the Jaguars. And now we can talk about this second half, the best part of the game.
That was gut-wrenching, dude. Like, you could feel it after when they were doing that second drive for a touchdown. Like, I was like, we're going to lose this game. Like, that, it was just, we couldn't stop. And that's just what happened. We literally didn't stop them once in the second half. It was touchdown, field goal. And it was like, it was bad. It was one of the worst defensive performances of the year.
No, absolutely. I'm glad though when it went 14-14, the Jags offense responded with another James Robinson touchdown. That was a positive in the second half, is that they allowed those 14 points, tied it up, but Jaguars responded and went back and took the lead, which was awesome. So they had the lead, they either tied or had the lead the whole entire game until that game-winning field goal.
Yep.
So, once again, improvement, but once again, we take the L. And I think was it the second half when AJ King got carted off?
Yeah.
Ben Barch came in there. Ben Barch actually played good. I thought the offensive line as a whole played well.
Honestly, the offensive line played really well, except for when it counted and Cam Robinson let Trey Hendrickson completely blow by him on that third down. And that was the only reason Trevor Lawrence had to roll out of the pocket. No one was there. And that's the other thing too. they mentioned this is like, I think like every game they have mentioned with Trevor running out of the pocket, the receivers are not coming back. Like, I don't know if that's a coaching thing or they're harping on them and the receivers just aren't doing it. They're not coming back to help Lawrence. They're still running their routes deep. And that's why no one was open. And that's why he had to scramble. And that's honestly one reason why we lost the game was because Cam Robinson let Trey Henderson completely blow by him. And then the receiver's not coming back to help Lawrence. Because it was only like, I think it was like 3rd and 4 pops into my mind, but I feel like it was longer than 3rd and 4 on that play. But we didn't need more than 10 yards. So even if they're running a deep route, they should know, hey, it's been like 4 seconds looking back. Trevor needs help. Let me run back to at least get the first down kind of thing.
Yeah, or even gain 4 or 5 yards. Maybe you're a 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. It's okay.
Maybe we go for it, because we can't stop them. So it's like we can't let them back onto the field. So much more. So there was a lot of breakdown near the end of the game where just no one was doing what I feel like they should have been doing correctly. And another big person that I was really disappointed was Miles Jack. Miles Jack did not play well this game at all.
I think he allowed he allowed 4 for 4 for like 78 yards and a touchdown on him.
When we watched the tape, I mean, he was really close on that touchdown to tipping the ball on the one play with Burrow rolls out and CJ's there, and there's no one to get CJ behind the play. Everybody's like in front of him, except for a deep safety. But Miles Jack was literally like that close. I think he even scraped the ball. Like that's how close it was to being incomplete. But the whole tight end running across the field in the middle of the field, Miles Jack did not do well because that was happened on the other touchdown as well. Same exact thing. Miles Jack just, I don't know if that wasn't his zone and he realized I had to go pick him up or what. It just didn't look good. And it was just bad.
No, yeah. Overall defense, first half defense was pretty good. Second half defense was atrocious. The only person on defense I will give any props to, and that was Griffin. He only allowed 16 yards this week, allowed 21 last week against the Cardinals. So I'm getting to the point where Griffin, you have to shadow. Like there's no
Whoever's
question.
the best guy. Yeah.
He has to. I mean, so next week versus the Titans, I assume, either Julio or AJ Brown, one of them is going to be back. I do expect one of them to be gone. Whoever is there, Griffin has to be on the whole game, 24/7. But other than that, dude, the defense as a whole in the second half, I think everyone played terrible. The defensive line, there was no pass rush at all the whole entire game. They dropped Josh Allen back like 7 or 8 times in coverage, which makes no sense. He's your best pass rusher.
Yeah, to that one, you do have to drop him back sometimes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But it felt like they were dropping him back on like 3rd downs. And it was
he's your best pass rusher. He's your only proven pass rusher.
Yeah, like when it's 3rd and long, I don't want Josh Allen to be the one backing off. If it's 1st or 2nd down, sure, whatever. But it's 3rd down and you need a sack to put him out of scoring range and stuff. That's when he needs to rush, not when it's 3rd down, games on the line. I don't want him dropping into the coverage. I want him pass rushing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like Joe Cullen, he can't do what he wants to do. He can't blitz because there's 2 things. There's no pass rush right now at all. So he can't do the defense he wants. And also the corners they can't cover. Besides
the one time we blitzed.
Tyson Campbell has been getting worked all game. Trey Hendon, what a bad performance coming back off the injury. I'm honestly at the point, I know it's only one game with Trey Hendon. I'd rather see Chris Claybrooks out there because he has speed at least. Or even the corner, from Oakland that we signed after he got cut. But the Jaguars desperately need some help at the cornerback room in a pass rusher. So I don't know if they're going to go for a trade. But right now, if it comes to draft position, the Jags are picking top 5. I'm either all for getting a pass rusher or that corner Singletary from LSU. He's probably the next thing to Jalen Ramsey coming out of college. And the
also got the safety from Notre Dame. Yeah, Hamilton.
Yeah, he's good. But Jenkins, I thought he was okay. He didn't play amazing. Wingard, he was okay. He
almost got another interception.
He almost did. He was
almost there.
The linebackers played terrible in the second half. As a whole, in the whole second half, it looked like they didn't make any adjustments. The Bengals made adjustments. They didn't do anything. They didn't blitz. Covering was terrible. Tyler Boyd had a field day against us in that slot.
We just let them have anything they wanted within the 10-yard frame. Like it was as if we were playing deep coverage every single time, a lot of zone. And that's what they just took advantage of. Every time you watched the Bengals when they run the 5 spread kind of situation. It didn't matter if Mission was out there or they had a tight end for wide receivers because they were also down Higgins. So they didn't have all their guys either, which is also disappointing that we couldn't even handle like some of their, like, what was that one guy that got the back shoulder pass on Tyson Campbell? It was his first catch like ever. And
oh yeah,
like out of Stanford. And I was like, I've never heard of this guy in my life. And it was more of a Joe Burrow pass, but it was still 26 yards on Tyson Campbell where he didn't turn around for the ball. But it was just stuff like that where it's just like this zone coverage because we couldn't get to the pass rush. So I think they just said, screw it. Let's just play zone and try to like cover all the holes or whatever. And it wasn't working. Whatever they were doing wasn't working. They didn't adjust to it. I give props to the Bengals though, because they went 6 linemen and then they went wide, 6 linemen and went wide, and it worked. So they just never stopped doing it.
no, yeah.
So it was good on their part. I'll give them credit. They completely adjusted to what the Jaguars were throwing at them and completely demolished the Jaguars.
I seen Joe Burrow or heard Joe Burrow mic'd up, and he was basically saying they're doing the same coverage. He said, "I'm going to pick them apart." Basically, they didn't change anything. I mean, that's just that sad to hear. You know that we're not making any adjustments and all that. But speaking of Tyson Campbell, once again, I mean, it's looking like a bad draft pick. When you had Asante Samuel, who's playing phenomenal right now for the Chargers, and Tyson Campbell has 4 years at college. Guess what? He can stick with you, but he can't turn his head. And we thought, maybe he can. NFL coaches can help fix that. He's not fixing it. He can never turn his head, and that's becoming a problem.
I mean, it's only 4 games in.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's like he obviously corner is one of the hardest positions to adjust to from college to the NFL. So I'm not getting rid of him just yet or benching him at this point. He's because like you said, he's there. He just can't find the ball. He won't turn his head. Don't know if that's something that we can work on at this point then, because he did it all throughout college. And they're telling him to do that in the NFL too. Some guys just can't adjust.
If he can't fix it, he won't last in the NFL very long.
Yeah, I definitely think, and this also comes back, not trying because we don't know what Travis Etienne is going to be for this team, but Greg Newsome was the pick right after Travis Etienne. And Greg Newsome is looking like one of the best rookie defensive players in the league. Like, it's not that he's doing bad, or even JOK for the Browns fell to the second round, and he's the number 1 best rookie in the league right now at the linebacker position, and possibly could be a Pro Bowl nominee this year. And we let him slide. And I get at the time maybe linebacker wasn't the issue, but we obviously got rid of Joe Sherbert. And if you had him out there instead of Wilson, who can't cover at all, he got blown by Tyler Boyd so many times when he was covering him on zone and the inside. And maybe if we had JOK instead of Wilson. So there's a lot of things you got to look at this Jaguars draft class. And besides Trevor Lawrence, I don't really know if we hit on anybody. Like no one's playing except for Lawrence at this point. So, and Campbell, but Campbell's not playing well. So it really is like, we're going to look at this draft class for the first Balky and Urban. I'll say with Trevor, I really don't know if this is going to be a good draft class.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence, I think, is going to turn out great. So,
it
will obviously end up being an A+ draft because of Trevor Lawrence. But
I mean, we didn't do anything. We were the number 1 pick. Like,
yeah,
like it kind of, we didn't have to like. Jaguars have not made that selection in the first round, where it's like, I mean, we have, but we haven't kept them kind of situation too. But we haven't made that pick where it's like, oh, really? You guys kind of reached on him, or like, kind of like, oh, that's a really soft. We just haven't done that. Like, our first round picks have not had a very good track record. At the very least,
absolutely.
Or they leave. So hopefully we start fixing that. With Etienne being hurt, we don't know if he was going to work out or not. I would assume he would have. So hopefully next year we can finally see Etienne and Lawrence kind of work together.
Yeah. Going into next season, before we talk about that, Dan Arnold actually I thought looked really good for the few catches he had. He's definitely that safety blanket, and he's fast too.
He's really that catch he made going into the outside where he turned the corner. Like, I think we won the trade. Like, with CJ Henderson, Dan Arnold getting a 3rd round pick. Looking at this, he only had 2 catches, but I was
they were good yardage too.
So he had 3 days of practice, and you're telling me he had the second most catches on this team. Like, so I think we're going to utilize him a lot. So that's a big win.
No, absolutely. But going into next season, I think the Jaguars right now needs our pass rusher. They need another pass rusher besides Josh Allen. Cornerback help right now. They need a number one or number two. Griffin, he's showing he can be a number one, but worst case, Griffin's your number two. They need, I think, a true number one wide receiver, like that guy that teams are afraid of. We have some good wide receivers, Laviska and Marvin Jones, but teams are not afraid of them. No one's afraid of them. You need, that Devontae Adams type of wide receiver.
Who's going to be on the market.
I would throw everything at Devontae Adams, but
I would make him the highest paid wide receiver in history. I would go for Devontae Adams.
No, absolutely.
Honestly, you'd be surprised because I've had this conversation already with some people on Twitter. Some people don't want him because he's already 28. And they're like, he only has one more year until he's 30. I'm like, no, he is going to be good because he's a route runner. He's not like a speedy. He's fast, but he's not like solely rely on my speed, solely rely on my height and thing. He's just a tactician at route running. And I think Trevor Lawrence will be good enough in his eyes because he's going to come from Aaron Rodgers. He's going to want a quarterback kind of similar to Aaron Rodgers. And I think Lawrence if you look at the way Lawrence plays and the way Rodgers plays, Lawrence is basically the same player minus he's actually a little more athletic.
Oh, yeah. And one thing about Lawrence is he helps the offensive line get better because he gets the ball out quicker. So that's awesome to see. Offensive line, I don't know if we're really gonna have to do anything next year with the offensive line. Right tackle possibly, maybe right.
Barch
right
will.
guard.
I think Barch will start. I think Can or Norwell will be. I'm kind of hoping for Can. As another player, I don't know his extent to his injury or not, but this also might be the last time we ever see AJ Can play as a Jacksonville Jaguar, who's been one of the most consistent Jaguars over the last 6 or 7 years he's been here. We might see Barch kind of take that role because he looked actually pretty good this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about defensive side, pass rusher, corner help, maybe even they definitely need linebacker help. Miles Jack,
they need a lot.
But Miles Jack, I'm going to be completely honest, has not played good this year.
No,
he's been getting work, but I don't know if that's, he has no help anywhere. That's a possibility. And he's kind of, trying to do everything himself. So we'll see what happens there. And then for offensive side of the ball, if Darren Arnold, turns out to be that safety blanket for Trevor Lawrence, great. You don't have to worry about getting a tight end, early in the draft or, spending a bunch of money in free agency. But like I said, number one wide receiver. I think that's basically it. So wide receiver, corner,
offense. I don't think offense we really need a lot personally. Maybe touch up the depth we don't know how Walker Little is going to be. Can and Robinson are going to be a very big topic of, are we even going to keep them? I think we keep at least one of them. And right now that might be Taylor just because he's still on the rookie deal. Cam Robinson's going to want at least close to what he's making this year. And I really don't think he's worth double digits at this point for a left tackle. So if he wants to go play right guard or right tackle, I think he could be better. But because I come back to that play with Trey Hendrickson, games on the line, and Cam Robinson ruined it. He let him go right by him. He played good the whole game, but when it mattered, he didn't step up. And we need that person that
one play that matters. That's all that matters.
Yeah. I'm not saying we need a Trent Williams who I would love, but they don't come around every single day kind of thing. But are there better left tackles in the league than Cam Robinson? I think there are. So I think that might be really the only thing we look at offensively, honestly, is the tackles in free agency. I think we'll probably try to go draft, I think, for wide receivers, because I think they're fine with Chenault. Marvin Jones is not a bad 1-2. It's not great, but if you get a good rookie and if Johnson can propel himself to where he can be, I'm not saying this is a terrible off. And we might get DJ Chark back for 1 year. So that's the whole thing. I think this needs to be a defensive focus for the Jags to improve next year.
And I will say, speaking of, the tackle position, when we get to the last 5-6 games of the season, I'm all for, even if Cam Robinson's playing decent, put Walker Little out there because now
see what they got
time in the pocket. He's not nervous and all that, and see what you have in Walker Little. I'm all about that. And when I'm looking at this Jaguar schedule, they have the Titans next week. We'll see what happens with the Titans and Jets. it's a possibility. I'm not, I'm about to go through a few games where I think the Jaguars have a chance to win. Now, I'm not saying the Jaguars are going to win all of them. I just think these are the best chance games for the Jaguars. You have the Titans, I think, next week, the Dolphins. You have the Falcons. I actually think they match very well up against the 49ers. That's just me personally.
Mhm.
You have the Texans, the Colts twice, the Patriots, and the Jets. That's 9 games, and I'm not saying they're going to win all 9 games because they're not, but I definitely think they can get 5 possibly wins out of those.
Yeah, when I look at the schedule and the way that we're playing, because the Bengals aren't a bad team. The Bengals are 3-1. Like, it's not necessarily, and they beat the Vikings in that overtime game. I can't remember who they lost to. But doesn't matter. They're 3-1. To be in the NFL and be 3-1, that's a pretty good situation to be in. We're 0-4.
We've gotten better too each week.
In every week. And honestly, I'm not saying we should have won this game or last week, because we obviously didn't play well enough to win the game because we lost. But these last 2 weeks were very winnable. Like, we're going into by double digits, we are going into second half with the ball. Like, so if we can just keep that up and actually hold off teams, I think this team is going to win 4 or 5 games. I don't think this is a 1-win team where the only team we beat is the Jets, who look atrocious. They're easily, like, in my opinion, the worst team in the league. So you got the Texans, Jets, Falcons. Falcons also look like they're one of the worst teams in the league. And those 3 games, I think we're going to win. Colts are not looking good with their health-wise. And I do think we actually match up very well with the Titans. Titans aren't playing that well. Their defense is terrible. They're relying on Derrick Henry, one of the best things the Jags.
And we're actually good at stopping a run
defense. So if Julio and AJ are out and we can shadow whoever is playing with Shaq, like, I don't know, I kind of like it. So if AJ and Julio are playing with Derrick Henry, I don't think we got a shot. Like, I just don't think so. But if one of those guys are out that week, I think we have a very good shot of playing. If we play like we did the last 2 weeks against the Titans, a very good shot to win that game.
And play 60 minutes, not one half. Make the adjustments. That seems like something Urban Meyer that he's stressing. They need to make the adjustments. They're not doing good, enough making adjustments. So I'm actually glad to hear him say that's, welcome to the NFL, Urban. It's a lot harder than college. You're not playing Purdue. We are Purdue right now. Playing upset.
Playing Alabama's.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see what happens though, man. Who knows? Maybe the Jaguars can go on the stretch. I'm going to be positive. And if they can end up 2-4 in the next few weeks and possibly, tied for first in division or, second.
You talked about that. There is a chance that if we beat the Titans and the Titans lose to the Jets, we pretty much know the Colts and the Texans are probably going to lose. Colts are getting decimated with injuries, with Quentin Nelson now being on the IR. Texans also injury situations with their key players. Somehow we beat the Titans and then we do well in London, which we typically do. I know it's a different franchise, but for some reason we still do well in London. Miami's not looking great this year. I could see us, if we somehow pull off a 2-win streak right here, and the Titans lose this week to the Jets, which is now possible with their receivers being out, somehow the Jaguars would actually be a chance at the division. I don't think we win it because our schedule is ridiculous in the middle, but I'm not saying never that this team could win at least 5 games. 5 or 6 games.
I think the division winner legit, if it possibly only be 7-8 games, it really could.
I could totally see it. And that would be really bad with a 17-game schedule with and it's been happening more frequently with one division. For some reason, the winner is still a losing record.
The NFC East, right? Last year.
Yeah, NFC East. And then the NFC West did it with Seattle when, and looking back at it now the number 1 division in football. So maybe that's a good trend for us, is that every time that a division is terrible, next year or two, all of a sudden that division gets a lot better. So that means, sadly, the Colts and Titans might get better, but that also means that we're going to get better.
So absolutely.
This season we may have overhyped the team. I feel like I know we do that almost every year,
but we had to because it's Trevor Lawrence, Urban Meyer. But I think realistically,
we had key injuries too.
And when you really think about realistically, what do you expect with a rookie quarterback, a rookie head coach? We honestly should only expect 5-6 wins max.
I was predicting like 8 or 9. That's just kind of where I felt like I did not see that Texans game at all. That was definitely a precursor week 1 of like, oh shit, like this might not be the season we're thinking of, kind of thing. But I wasn't like, every now and then I'll get over ambitious, like, man, this team could win 10. Like I see 10 games here, but I wasn't thinking, I was thinking 7, 8, maybe somehow squeak 9. So if we end up at 4 or 5, it's not too off target. And as long as we look better every week, and if we could finish the year hot, because we got a very easy schedule at the end of the year. With the Patriots aren't looking great. They still have a rookie quarterback as well. I think Trevor Lawrence is a better quarterback than Matt Jones, who's been captain check down for the last 3 weeks. So if we keep getting better, I think the Patriots are winnable, the Jets are winnable, the Falcons are winnable, the Colts are winnable, and the Texans are obviously winnable.
They could literally
all those are the last
possibly like 5
year.
games at the end of the season. They really kick on the stretch.
So if we end with a 4-2 run, let's say, and we end the year with 5 or 6 wins, because we might win 1 in the next week or 2, like this team's going to be, I think, media wise, because it's always who finished hot. It's what you do. And then we're going to get Travis Etienne back. We're going to play around and get more players in the draft and free agency, get rid of players like Trey Herndon, who shouldn't even been on this team this year, in my opinion, and actually fill those gaps that we have. This could be, next year might be the year the Jags actually take off.
If they can end up 7-10, that would be huge. I don't
see that happening.
Neither do I. But if we can get to December and we just see, the playoff picture, and we're on the very bottom where it says in the hunt, I'm all for it, man. I just want to see in the hunt in December.
Which could be just because, like we talked about, the division.
Yeah,
the division is not going to be. You could win the division this year with 8 wins, the way that everything's going out. So if we could somehow be at 6 wins with a week or 2 left, and the Titans are at 7, and it's like, hey, we got the Colts, which is a divisional game, and if somehow we win that last game, pushes us just ahead of the Titans for divisional purposes, you never know, man. Like, there's a lot of stuff.
Plenty of football left, though. Who knows, man?
We're technically not even a quarter of done yet, because there's 17 games. Yep. By this point, we would be a quarter, but technically we still have that 1 game. So
one week left.
Still got 75% of the season left. So
13 games, man. That's awesome. Still got plenty of football. Yep. But overall, definitely like the improvement from the Jaguars. Sucks to lose, but a lot of positives, some negatives, and definitely some situations the Jaguars need to definitely improve on. But I think other than that, thank you all for listening on Spotify or watch us on YouTube. Definitely go check us out on Twitter at 904 more. And other than that, thanks for watching and listening, and go Jags.
Go Jags, everyone.